Yi Fan, who was killed by a scumbag, was reborn with her merit system and activated the bloodline of the Heavenly Master. From then on, her mundane life with dog blood underwent earth-shattering changes. A bizarre homicide case, with her left-hand system and right-hand dissecting knife, she cleverly solved the mystery. From then on, she ran more and more happily on the path of forensic medicine, and there was no cause of death that she could not investigate, no homicide case that she could not solve. The truth is shrouded in mist, and the suspect remains silent. It's okay, we have a solution. The bone is so hard that it's not easy to cut, so let's cut the bird and feed it to the earthworms. Yi Fan played with a cold and shining dissecting knife in his hand, smiling as he looked at the corpse on the dissecting table. A friend said, "Wife, aren't you teaching me to be low-key as a husband? It's really good to shout your own slogans so loudly, isn't it?" Yi Fan looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle, bright and sorrowful. "There's nothing I can do. I also want to keep a low profile, but my strength doesn't allow it." A friend felt heartbroken and said, "My wife has worked hard, it's all a pot of strength." Keywords of the novel. Rebirth. No pop-ups for female forensic doctors, Rebirth. No pop-ups for female forensic doctors, complete collection download for female forensic doctors, Rebirth. No pop-ups for female forensic doctors, latest chapter reading for female forensic doctors. Chapter 1. Welcome to Death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Welcome to Death. The most beautiful thing is the 3 months in the world, when the winter cold fades away and spring flowers bloom, which happens to be the best season in the world. Today is a suitable day for travel and marriage, making it a great day for everything. The streets are filled with the scent of spring. Looking at the scene of peach blossoms filling the sky and spring scenery rippling in front of her, feeling the passionate love that comes rushing towards her, she can only describe her current mood with one word, which is bleeding the dog. Facing each other, young girls lean together, with a handsome appearance and a scholarly demeanor, just like the noble young master who had read poetry and books in ancient times. The young girl's facial features were exquisite, and her temperament was gentle, just like the courtesan daughter who was proficient in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting in ancient times. The two of them snuggled together, making them the modern version of talented and beautiful women, envious of passers-by. If the young man was not her boyfriend who had just been dating for a month, and the young girl was not her close friend, she would also find this scene very pleasing to the eye, rather than dazzling. Her name is Yi Fan, an ordinary person who has been overlooked since childhood and grew up in a family with a preference for sons over daughters. Sadly, she is still in an awkward position as the second child. She has outstanding academic performance, is known as the sister of other children, and has a little brother with golden egg bumps. She is the invisible little pitiful person who even forgets to eat with her parents. A head of long hair with a straight bangs, features that can only be described as an ordinary and upright appearance, without any special talents, singing with incomplete notes, dancing with disharmonious limbs, academic performance half bucket of water, never plucked or counted, always standing in the middle position and never shaken. 6 years of primary school, 3 years of junior high school, and 3 years of high school, it is estimated that only a few teachers and classmates can remember her. If it were to say that in her short and pale 18 years, Yi Fan had any strong colors that could attract others' attention and enjoy so many moments of attention, it would be that she had an enviable and jealous school-grass boyfriend Xie Junyi, as well as a goddess-level best friend He Yingying. Life is indeed full of dog blood everywhere. She doesn't know how others react and they see her boyfriend and best friend getting together. All she knows is that her palms are itchy at this moment, but her feet are as stiff as if they have been soaked. She just stands in place, watching the dog man and woman see her, panicked, and then walk towards her as if nothing had happened. "Xiaofan, why are you here? Didn't you say you're reviewing your homework at home?" He Yingying's voice was as sweet as ever, with a sticky note at the end and a gentle expression, no different from before. Naturally, she thought the dazzling scene just now was just an illusion. It is obvious that it is not an illusion, because the male protagonist of the incident spoke up, using a clear voice that had previously captivated her, and apologized. Fan, I'm sorry, the person I have always loved is Inying. Junyi, stop talking. Inying, I don't want to keep it a secret anymore, Xie Junyi said with a deep and resolute tone. Fan, we were childhood sweethearts, and I have always regarded you as my sister. The person I love is Inying, and Inying also loves me. She knows you like me, so she has been refusing me, asking me to confess to you and be with you well. But I can't deceive myself anymore, nor can I make Inying sad anymore. I said stop talking, Junyi. Being a person can't be so selfish. Although we love each other, Xiaofan is my best friend. As long as she is happy, I can do anything. Inying, you are too kind. Junyi. TSK, what a selfless couple with great love, what a touching scene of sadistic love. Together, she became a third party in this relationship who was not worthy of praise and beyond measure. Is this poking her heart and liver again, secretly stabbing her as an unnecessary person? After a pitiful and brutal performance, the two finally remembered her as an extra person. Seeing them talking for a while, Yifan didn't react at all. Inying's beautiful big eyes brushed over the dim light and urgently called out on her face, Xiaofan, why aren't you making a sound? Don't scare me, give me some reaction. Okay, I'll give you a response. Yifan raised his pitch-black eyes and looked at her expressionlessly. Before she could react, he slapped her beautiful little face with a loud slap in the back. At that moment, she felt a sensation she had never felt before in her life. Pleasure. Pop. The crisp and loud slap not only stunned Inying, but also frightened Xie Junyi. The first reaction was not that Yifan had hit him in the heart, but that Yifan actually knew how to hit people. Still the kind of fighting without saying a word. Ah, Yifan, how dare you hit me? Inying, who had never been beaten before, became angry and changed her image as a goddess in the past, emitting a sharp and ferocious scream. The scream woke Xie Jun up, and his first reaction was to furrow his brows. Then, he saw a piercing slap on Inying's delicate face, indicating how hard the slap was. Inying. Xie Jun let out a painful cry and mercilessly pushed Yifan away. Ji. E. Ah. The car came to a rapid stop, and its delicate body was like a kite with a broken string. The bright red blood instantly dyed the ground red. The passers-by who reacted made sharp screams and gathered around, taking photos and posting on social media. Yifan only felt the pain of being crushed all over her body for a moment, then completely plunged into darkness. When she saw the light again, she found herself floating in mid-air, with the entire street below in chaos. At the tragic scene of the car accident, her body was immersed in a pool of blood for onlookers to admire and take photos. That's right, her body, she's already dead, she died on the spot. At this moment, Yifan just wanted to say that if God gave her a chance to start over again, she would definitely give Xie Junyi a slap in the back after giving him a slap. Damn it, it's too embarrassing. In the end, the owner of the car that hit her hit 120, and he was considered a safe bet. Let's take a look at the couple of dogs who killed her. Yifan looked coldly at the two people who pretended to run out of the crowd after the ambulance arrived, crying cats and mice. If it weren't for countless witnesses at the scene who saw the three of them together, they would probably have run away long ago. Yifan once again felt that he had just died like this. It was really too cheap for these two human-faced and animal-like dogs. Don't you like her to follow them like a little servant to satisfy their twisted vanity? From now on, she will follow them day and night, constantly. Even if she can't kill these two people, she must scare them into a mental illness, otherwise how can she dispel her hatred in her heart? When Yifan was getting angry, the space around her suddenly fluctuated. A man with a chicken nest head, a long-sleeved shirt and a crooked tie on his upper body, and a strange flower with Peppa Pig pink shorts on his lower body just appeared in front of her. He was gasping for breath, and had driven 108,000 miles. Seeing Yifan's stunned appearance on the spot, Chipa took a deep breath, straightened his crooked tie, and grinned out two small tiger teeth. "Hello, little sister. Welcome to death. I am your reincarnation guide, number SB045. I will open the door to your reincarnation for you. Please be prepared. You." Yifan just uttered a word, and a black mist-filled vortex appeared out of thin air above his head. In the vortex, a thick door covered with thick resentment appeared out of thin air. As the door slowly opened, a powerful suction force gently sucked her in, not even leaving a last word for her. "I fork, USB, are you in a hurry to reincarnate?" After seeing off Yifan, Qipao Shaojing eagerly took out a virtual phone and clicked on it. A sweet voice immediately sounded on the phone. "Congratulations to SB045 for completing the merit system task. Receiving 543. SB045 first took a breath and said, "I finally made up for it at the last minute. It's worth crossing 1,000 miles. Then he pulled down his face and muttered, there are only 2 points of merit. People nowadays are really heartless. They often give negative reviews, and it's fortunate that I've done my best to send you back to life." Humph. The Hall of Judgment in the past. Yifan looked curiously around the place that resembled a modern office, and finally fixed his gaze on an ancient plaque hanging on the wall behind his desk that was out of place with the environment. The plaque read, "Cha-cha." See, this modern office made her think that a car accident and death were just a dream. Knock, knock. The office clerk sitting behind the desk tapped on the desk in dissatisfaction. He was the key, and the little girl curiously looked around as soon as she entered. Her beautiful and clear eyes occasionally showed admiration, but she ignored his dignified Joe official from beginning to end. "When I was a person, I was ignored by others. Finally, I found a small official in the Cha-Cha Sea, but I was still ignored by the new one." Yifan then withdrew his wandering gaze and stared at Zhou Li in surprise. His clear eyes seemed to be saying, "Who are you? When was it here?" Zhou Li. What should I do if I really want to hit someone? Yifan, born on the 7th day of the 7th lunar month in the year 2000, passed away on the 3rd day of the 3rd lunar month in 2018. He had reached the end of his life and died in a car accident. His life. Zhou Li clicked on the tablet in front of his desk, gritted his teeth and read out Yifan's life. When he finally read her birth date and 8 characters, he looked at her in surprise. On the 7th day of the 7th lunar month. Yifan listened in silence as Zhou Li recited her life in a grinding voice, which could truly be described in 4 words. Bland and tasteless. How did she live her short 18 years like this? The family environment is one aspect, and her own personality is also one aspect. In the next life, she will no longer let herself live such a life. Although it may not be grand, at least it must be colorful. Just as Yifan sighed about her life and longed for the afterlife, Zhou Li finally finished reading her brief and mundane life, and then reached out to brush lightly on the office desk, where a pitch-black stone ball appeared out of thin air. "Routine procedures, come here, put your hand on the spirit stone." Zhou Li said casually, obviously this is just a routine formality and has no meaning. Putting aside his complex emotions, Yifan obediently floated forward and raised his right hand to place it on the spirit testing stone, without any reaction. Upon seeing it, Zhou Li was not surprised. Just as she was about to wave her hand to indicate that she could leave, she saw a red light shining on the spirit measuring stone of the lacquer stone. There was a faint golden thread flowing in the red light, but it only flashed away, making people think it was just an illusion. At the moment when the red light shone brightly, the entire realm of rebirth suddenly experienced a violent vibration. This vibration went straight into the deepest layer of the purgatory of rebirth. In the forbidden prison where no immortals or spirits dared to venture, the loud sound of the vibration of the iron chains was accompanied by a sigh from the vast wilderness. You have returned. Since it cannot involve the underworld and ghosts, the settings have been modified. Those who have already seen it can take a look again. Momoda, end of this chapter. Chapter 2. Escort Messenger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Escort Messenger. The vibration was only a momentary moment, and soon calmed down. At this moment, Zhou Li's mood was not at all calm. He stared at the red light shining on the spirit measuring stone, his eyes staring straight, not even paying attention to the shaking in that moment. Halfway through, he lifted his green and shimmering eyes to look at Yi Fan, making her feel flustered and flustered. Can't it be testing out what kind of demon she is? Yi Fan swallowed the non-existent saliva, quietly withdrew his hand, stepped back, and had a strong urge to run. Oh, Xiaoye, come on, it's new here. Are you used to it? Don't rush to leave, let's chatter. Zhou Li, who had been cold and indifferent, suddenly had a chrysanthemum-like wolf grandmother smile on his face. In a flash, he came from behind his desk to Yi Fan's face, warmly like the ant of the neighborhood committee. If it weren't for the innate aura suppression, Yi Fan would have been scared and turned his head to run away. Think about the change in Zhou Li's attitude towards her after she touched that spirit-testing stone. Can't you say in dog blood that she is the reincarnation of an ancient great figure? Is it still the reincarnation of some immortal? Yi Fan had rich psychological activities and directly asked, Sir, what happened to that spirit-testing stone just now? Oh, what's your name? My surname is Zhou, just call me Zhou Big Brother. The chrysanthemum on Zhou Li's face was even more brilliant. Xiao Yi is really smart, and she immediately got to the point. The spirit-testing stone is specifically used to test the blood vessels hidden in the deceased. Generally, the deceased do not have much reaction, which is ordinary blood vessels. However, you are different. From the reaction of the spirit-testing stone, you actually have the Heavenly Master's blood vessels. Although they are very thin, they are none of the billions. The last time the spirit-testing stone had a reaction was 3 years ago, with the mixed 5 spirit blood vessels. If it were before the end of the method, such blood vessels were not even qualified to touch the threshold of cultivation, but in now, that's our group pet in the afterlife world. Speaking of this, Zhou Li seemed to finally spit out all the bitterness he had accumulated for hundreds of years. Look at me, it's off the topic. After roast for a long time, officials of Zhou finally remembered what was going on, stared at Yi Fan's eyes again and burst into a warm color, rubbed his hands, and expected to ask. Xiaoye, would you accept the invitation to become a glorious messenger? Yi Fan also understood, in a daze, that she did not have such a strong background as she had imagined, but it was also different from the general public. For her, who had been ordinary for more than 10 years and had disappeared from the public for more than 10 years, it was somewhat comforting. Envoy. Is this preparing to give her an official position? Seeing Yi Fan frowning and hesitating, Zhou Li immediately realized that his words were unclear. It took only a few years to encounter one, which was due to his lack of proficiency in business. Yes, all things are born naturally, with alternating cold and heat forming the 4 seasons. The heavenly way has its own rules, each following its own path and finding its own destination, so that it can cycle endlessly. In the current era of the end of the Dharma, the laws of heaven and earth are chaotic, and the deceased are not guided by the laws of heaven and earth. They do not go to their destination, intending to break free from the cycle of life and death, and committing sins, which will inevitably bring disaster to the human world, and even cause chaos to the 3 realms. Still causing chaos in the 3 realms. Is it too exaggerated? Is it like making a mythological movie? Yi Fan rolled his eyes to himself, feeling that this Zhou official was just like the pyramid scheme personnel in the human world, trying his best to deceive her into the den of pyramid schemes. If Zhou knew about Yi Fan's psychological activity at this moment, even if she had rare bloodlines, he would not be able to resist the urge to strangle her again. Fortunately, he didn't know how to read mind spells and continued with a lively expression, saying, "Nowadays, within the three realms, the laws of the human world are the strongest, and they reject us to the extreme. We cannot personally go to receive them, so we need you, the beloved of heaven and earth with rare bloodlines, to return to the human world before your physical body is destroyed, receive them for rebirth, cultivate the Tao body, and bring peace and balance to the three realms of the human world." Welcome to leave comments and comments, urging Xiaojiu to make progress. Thank you. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Formal onboarding. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Formal onboarding, returning to the mortal world. Upon hearing these 4 words, Yi Fan's pitch-black pupils suddenly tightened, reflecting a brilliant light, green and eerie like ghostly flames. The meaning of Zhou Li's words is that because she has a thin lineage of heavenly masters, she has a chance to be resurrected. Yi Fan was both excited and nervous, almost unable to maintain his normal form. Of course, it's not unconditional to allow you to come back to life from death. After all, your young life has been exhausted, and rebirth requires borrowing your life. If you are willing to be hired as our guide envoy, you can earn merit by completing tasks published in the merit system, exchange merit for life expectancy. If your merit is not enough to exchange or if you do something harmful to earn virtue in the human world, your life expectancy will immediately end and you will be punished by the heavenly Tao. Zhou Li raised a chrysanthemum-like smile and asked expectantly again, "Xiaoya, are you willing to be hired as the escort? What are you unwilling to do? Be resolute and willing." Yi Fan nodded suddenly, with her cautious nature not asking too many questions. Although she has been living a miserable life for the past 18 years, it doesn't mean she is truly carefree. Besides, there are 2 despicable people, Xie Junyi and He Yingying, waiting for her to settle accounts. Seeing Yi Fan agree to nod, Zhou Li also breathed a sigh of relief and quickly processed her employment procedures to avoid any accidents to her body in the human world. The rare lineage of a celestial teacher is born to eat this bowl of rice. The onboarding process is very simple. In less than 5 minutes, Yi Fan was happily lured into the pyramid scheme den. Oh no, he is a spokesperson for his past life and a guide walking in the human world, with the number YF088. YF is the author of her name, and 088 indicates that she is the 88th envoy. Despite having a population of nearly 10 billion, there are only 88 envoys. It is hard to imagine how scarce they are. No wonder Zhou Li's attitude is so enthusiastic. She also received the envoy's exclusive equipment, a token representing her identity, a lock chain, and a mobile phone. Holding the virtual phone in his hand, Yi Fan looked amazed and curious. The business in the afterlife world is already so mature, and it is equipped with a work phone. This phone doesn't look like a brand on Earth. Is there a research and development institution here that produces phones? This is our specialty mobile phone Ghost 18, which is also a special merit system for your envoys. Here, I will teach you how to use it. It's very simple, similar to the usage of human phones. You see, the most important thing is this mission system. You can register and activate it with soul power first. Yes, that's it. After the system is activated, it is already bound to your soul. Based on the strength of your soul power, the system will automatically divide the scope of your work. Within this range, the system will timely release tasks based on your abilities. As long as you are determined to accept the task, then when you successfully complete the task, the merit points range from 2 to 10 based on the satisfaction of the task object and the completion rate. However, if the task has problems, it can be a light deduction of your merit, and in severe cases, it can be a heavy punishment from the heavenly Tao, or even a desperate death. Here are specific instructions and envoy rules, so you have a chance to carefully read them. There is also this app called Mingxin, which functions like WeChat on Earth. Remember to add my account and I will add you to the group. If you have any questions, you can ask me or your seniors in the group. By the way, and this one, our Qin Xiaodian personally developed a game that is particularly fun. It has been ranked first for 300 consecutive years, with a user experience rating of 4 stars. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Fragrant Disappearance and Jade Death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Fragrant Disappearance and Jade Death. Haiqing People's Hospital. In front of the operating room door, mournful cries suddenly rang out. Those who heard it all felt a sense of sorrow, but they also took it for granted. After all, this is a common occurrence in hospitals. Only an 18-year-old girl, at the perfect age of her youth, passed away like this. How could it not make people sigh? I heard there was a car accident, and when I brought it over, the person couldn't handle it. Hey, sorry for her parents. The white-haired person gave the black-haired person away. You said those drivers wouldn't drive well, either speeding or drunk driving, and they ended up losing a fresh life like this. What a sin. By the way, what about the driver who caused the accident? He can't run away, can he? That driver has a good conscience and took the initiative to report to the police. He should be recording his statement at the police station now. On the surgical cart, the girl lay lifeless, with thick gauze wrapped around her head. Her face turned pale, silent, and ignorant. A middle-aged woman dressed in ordinary clothes supported a cart with one hand and pounded her chest with the other, feeling extremely sad and crying loudly. Fan, my daughter. How could you just leave like this, my Fan? Behind her, a tall middle-aged man supported her shoulder, trembling with wind and frost marks on his face. He endured pain as he looked at his daughter's body on the cart. 2 lines of muddy tears flowed silently from his red eyes, and his pale and dehydrated lips moved up and down, repeating 2 words with difficulty. Van. On the other side of the cart, a tall and thin boy was half kneeling, with both hands clinging to the edge of the cart, almost bending his face over the girl's ear. He didn't cry, and even had a smile on his lips, but his smile was even worse than crying. He murmured with words, "Second sister, wake up. Aren't you always the one who hates me for being bedridden? Now, why don't you learn how to follow suit? Look, both parents are angry. If you don't wake up again, be careful not to be scolded. Second sister, wake up, okay? I won't snatch your things anymore. There's something delicious and fun to eat, and I'll share it with you, okay?" The doctors and nurses standing next to them couldn't help but blush in their eyes. Although they were used to seeing it, they still couldn't help feeling heartbroken. Looking at Xie Junyi and He Yingying, who have been standing next to them as invisible figures, both of them have a look of panic on their faces. After all, Yi Fan's death is closely related to them, and from a legal perspective, it is not an exaggeration to judge Xie Jun for one accidental murder. However, there were no witnesses at the scene, and even the driver of the accident did not see how Yi Fan suddenly rushed to his car. Now, Yi Fan, the person involved, is completely unfounded. As long as they don't say anything, no one will know. Upon this thought, the two of them not only did not feel sad about Yi Fan's death, but also breathed a sigh of relief. After half a day, the two of them had calmed down, especially He Yingying. Thinking of the slap Yi Fan gave her before she died, she felt a numb pain on her face, and her eyes seemed to have been poisoned. Watching the Yi family cry to the death, her heart felt even more relieved. Uncle and auntie, you are in constant sorrow and change. Fan has always said that you ignore her and don't love her. Now that she sees you feeling so sad for her in the heavenly spirit, she will definitely be very happy. He Yingying, holding a small white flower face, burst into tears in an instant, gently comforting the parents of the Yi family. It's a consolation, isn't it? But how come this doesn't sound right? First watch, add 1 watch at night, collect, comment, recommend, follow, and defeat. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Fake Corpse. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Fake Corpse. Ye's father and mother were already deeply saddened by the loss of their daughter. As soon as He Ying's words entered their ears, they remembered the neglect and injustice they had done to their second daughter over the years. Their emotions surged for a moment, and every word seemed to turn into a complaint from their second daughter, cutting their hearts one by one. After all, it's my own bone and blood. Ah! In great sorrow and pain, Ye's mother let out a howl and fell limp. Fortunately, Ye's father continued to support her, and the doctor happened to be by her side. After a flurry, Ye's mother slowly woke up, but her eyes were lifeless, and she seemed to have aged 10 years in an instant. Auntie. He Ying spoke softly again, not sure if it was an illusion. The air around her seemed to suddenly drop a lot, and He Ying shuddered fiercely. You, damn it, shut up. The tall and thin boy, also known as Yi Feng, the son of the Yi family, supported his mother and turned his head to roar at He Ying. His eyes were bloodshot, like an angry lion, and he caught a glimpse of Xie Junyi, who had always stood behind He Ying and had not even taken the last glance at his second sister. One of them was a former neighbor who grew up, a typical child of someone else's family, who was his idol. A few days ago, he just let him know that he was dating his second sister, for which he was still complaining for a long time in his heart. The other is the famous school flower goddess in his sister's school, and also the good friend that his second sister often talks about. He used to think that his second sister was really lucky. People like cow dung could actually make friends with people like flowers. But today, his sister died, and their behavior was so ugly. Suddenly, the anger in their chest erupted like flames. My Fan, Mom is sorry for you. Ye's mother tightly grasped Yi Feng's hand, crying and almost fainting, causing the Yi family father and son to feel nervous and worried again, ignoring He Ying and Xie Junyi. The two of them were furious and yelled at by Yi Feng, feeling very guilty. However, with He Ying's temperament, she never thought she was wrong, let alone that Yi Fan's death was indirectly related to her. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said that to Yi Mu just now. As she watched the other patients and family members surrounding the doctor, and even the brave young man holding hands while filming, she immediately began to plan from the bottom of her heart and rushed towards Yi Fan's body without warning. Her beautiful and tender little face burst into tears, crying so sadly and so sadly. Everyone present, including Yi Mu, forgot to cry and looked at the sudden scene before them in shock. Woo-woo, Fan, how could you just leave me like this? Woo-woo, didn't we agree to be good girlfriends for a lifetime? Didn't you like my newly bought dress? Didn't you want to buy the latest Love Crazy X phone? Didn't you clamor for tickets to Lu Tianwang's concert? As long as you wake up, I'll buy it for you and spend all my money to satisfy you. Some aunties among the onlookers watched this scene, their eyes red with emotion, and they kept muttering, what a kind-hearted and righteous girl. The young people who took photos with their phones were also excited. How positive the energy was. This video needs to be shared for everyone to see. There is still true love in the world. Although the three members of the Yi family didn't listen properly, they were still moved and saddened to see He Ying crying so hard. Xie Junyi's face was full of emotion, and he stepped forward with deep affection to gently embrace He Ying. His heart was filled with strong love, and he listened to the praises from around him, feeling even more proud. The girl he loved was so kind and beautiful. He Ying performed while paying attention to everyone's reactions. With a cold smile on her lowered face, she had forgotten her fear of Yi Fan's body and howled even harder and more emotionally. God, please let Fan live. As long as she can live, even if she wants my life to be exchanged, I am willing to. As soon as she finished speaking, He Ying's body suddenly trembled, as if a cold and gloomy wind had passed through her body, causing her soul to tremble. At the next moment, under the frightened gaze of everyone, the body lying on the cart suddenly sat up. Ah! The terrifying screams pierced through the eardrums and rushed straight towards the clouds. Suddenly, birds flew away from thousands of mountains and people disappeared from all directions on the scene. Mom, Mom. Scam. Scam. Scam the corpse. Second update delivery, request clicks, request bookmarks, request followers, request comments, request recommendations, request deductions, end of this chapter. Chapter 6. Network Video. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Network video hospitals have always been the birthplace of ghost stories, but the miraculous thing of resurrection from death happened right in front of our eyes. All the onlookers on the scene were frightened and urinated, causing a huge sensation that spread from the hospital to the internet. There were videos showing the truth. Of course, in the atheistic socialist society, more people question the authenticity of videos. Gradually, netizens have gone from analyzing whether resurrection from death is a technical problem or a fantasy level, to portraying the female protagonist crying and singing in lively gossip videos. When it comes to which group of people in the world has the most poisonous eyes, undoubtedly the great netizens. Their pair of titanium eyes, which are comparable to Sun Wukong's fiery golden eyes, even the Oscar-winning young man with stunning acting skills, has no way to escape. Moreover, the inexperienced He Yingying, in a short 2-minute video, is full of expressions and actions, from appearance to psychology, from heartbreak to terror and ferocity. Various psychological narrators analyze it, and coupled with Xie Junyi who is supporting her, he suddenly analyzes a drama of love and hate, which makes the ignorant onlookers deeply believe that it is the truth. As the absolute protagonist in the fake corpse video, Yi Fan, whose body was originally a corpse, was miraculously once again completely ignored. Occasionally, some passers-by and netizens asked, is it really resurrection from death? Immediately, a so-called informant on the scene responded. Of course it's fake, just a minor injury. Compared to He XX, this corpse's acting skills are really not very impressive, full of disgust. I wipe XXX Yi corpse, oh no. Yi Fan sat on the hospital bed, wrapped in thick gauze on his head, holding the nearly eliminated Love Crazy 6 in his hand. While browsing local forums, he secretly gritted his teeth. This tragic invisible life was even ignored as a terrifying corpse. Passerby netizens, guided by the spirit of scientific life, and with officials secretly shifting their attention, her resurrection from death has been weakened. However, the hospital has issued a statement stating that she was only misdiagnosed due to temporary shock. Except for the chief surgeon who announced her death at the time, everyone else firmly believes in this truth. After a series of messy examinations, the attending doctor also had to suspect that he had made a mistake. Just this girl is too tough, right? She bled so much at the scene of the car accident, and ended up with a minor injury to her internal organs. Not to mention her broken arm and leg, there were no cracks in her bones. If it weren't for the head being hit and the fear of sequelae, she could have been discharged directly. Thinking of He Yingying, who was almost mentally disturbed by her resurrection from death, and Xie Junyi, who was scared to pee in public, Yi Fan's dark eyes flashed with a faint light, and the corner of his mouth slightly curled up. This is just the beginning. Don't worry, if we don't give this dog and man a ruined future, we really can't live up to the fate they gave her. Fan, you still have a head injury. Stop playing with your phone and lie down to rest. At this moment, Yimu walked in with a hot water bottle in her hand, muttering habitually. Compared to the impatience of occasionally muttering to her in the past few days, her tone has become much more compassionate. Yi Fan was not used to Yimu's care. She touched her nose, obediently put away her phone, and lay down with the blanket. Her dark eyes looked at Yimu, who was busy filling hot water, all of which were done for her. Her nose was sour, and there was an urge to cry. In fact, her parents still loved her, and she said next to her body that she would give all the good things to her younger brother in the future, which was also a sincere protection for her second sister. Fan, your father can't be busy at the shop alone. Mom needs to go back, can you? I will come over soon. Yi Mu spoke cautiously, observing Yi Fan's expression, afraid that her words would hurt her second daughter's heart and make her think she doesn't value her again. He Inying's words still leave deep marks in the hearts of the Yi family's parents. First watch delivery, continue with second watch at night, cute news seeking support, comments, attention, recommendations, and favorites. Your liking is the driving force of 99, Momoda. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Cultivation Techniques. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 8. First task. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. First task. Yi Fan's mind is now filled with the idea of working hard to earn merit, and at this moment, the task system emits a beep sound, indicating that there is a task. This is her first task. Yi Fan was so excited that his hand trembled and he couldn't wait to move on to check the task system. Task content. Introduction 1, Guide the deceased to the living world. Task recipient. Zhao Dejuan, male, time of death. At 11:13 p.m. on the 9th day of the 3rd month in the Gregorian calendar, he passed away at the age of 61. Place of death. Room 5002, Haicheng People's Hospital, S City, Ji Province. Are you in the same hospital as her? Is the time of death at night? This can be considered a good start. Thinking that he would soon earn merit, Yi Fan quickly clicked on the task and confirmed his acceptance. He immediately added a sentence after the task. Execute Envoy YF-088. This task can be considered completed. Yi Fan has not yet cultivated his physical form. In order to complete the guidance task, he must transform his physical body into a spiritual body. Otherwise, not only will he not be able to contact the task object, but he will not even be able to see it. From the inheritance memory, there is a type of talisman called pseudo-spiritual talisman that can achieve this effect, which belongs to low-level talismans, and it happens to be found in the complete record of talismans. Yi Fan snapped her fingers, luckily she was already prepared. She turned around and took out a black plastic bag under her pillow. From inside, she took out 3 things, a stack of rough yellow paper, a brush, and a small box of cinnabar, and placed them on the small table in a precious and heavy place. If a nurse pushes the door in at this moment, she must think her brain has been knocked out. Who knows, when she placed an order on Taobao and the customer service saw that the address she filled in was for a hospital ward, they repeatedly confirmed and asked if she was in the psychiatric department. Her parents and duty nurses saw her lying in bed receiving packages, and almost didn't ray her from inside out again, afraid of damaging her brain. Fortunately, she opened the package in the middle of the night and hid it under her pillow, otherwise, she wouldn't really have to stay in the psychiatric department now. Although she was treated as a lunatic, fortunately, the all-around Taobao solved her urgent need. Without them, she couldn't start working. Without them, she couldn't earn merit points. Without merit points, she couldn't exchange for lifespan. Without lifespan, she would have to hiccup. So this pile of Taobao goods bought for 100 yuan is her fate. To restrain his mind, Yi Fan did not immediately start writing. Instead, he followed the inheritance memory and operated the Dao Yuan Ju, integrating his mind and spirit. He silently recited with sincerity, Lingbao Heavenly Sovereign, comfort your body, disciple's soul, the 5 organs of the mysterious world. Blue dragons and white tigers, with various troops and battles, vermilion sparrows and basalt, and guard's body. After silently reciting 3 times, I picked up my brush, dipped it in cinnabar, held my breath, and drew it on yellow paper like the pseudo-spiritual talisman in the complete record of talismans. At first, the movements were very awkward, and after wasting dozens of yellow papers, it became smooth. The talisman emphasizes being able to be drawn with one swing, without any pause, and her spirit must always be highly refined. It was already an hour later when she successfully drew a fake spiritual talisman, wasting more than 50 yellow sheets of paper. Her mental strength was about to be drained, and her head was throbbing with pain, leaving her weak and paralyzed on the bed. As night fell, before Yi Mu came over with dinner, Yi Fan finally regained some energy and tidied up everything. Ye's mother stayed in the ward to accompany her at night, and in the past few days, she was also physically and mentally exhausted. She lay on another hospital bed and quickly fell asleep. When Yi Mu fell asleep, Yi Fan opened his eyes from pretending to sleep and slowly sat up. He lightly raised his right hand, and the only finished product, the pseudo-spiritual talisman, appeared in her hand. Then he pressed it against her chest. After a moment of dizziness, Yi Fan lowered his head and saw that his whole body fluctuated like water marks, gradually becoming blurred. Looking into a mirror in the hospital room, it was amazing that she couldn't be seen in the mirror. Taking a glance at the empty hospital bed, Yi Fan felt that it was actually very unsafe. If her mother woke up midway and found out she was missing, it would probably be another storm. It seems that she needs to find a way to be discharged as soon as possible, but the most important thing now is to start work quickly. Merit point, I'm here. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Messenger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The Messenger. The hospital department at 11 p.m. was quiet, with Yi Fan sticking a fake spiritual talisman and walking straight through the wall. There were 2 nurses on duty at the front desk, and she drifted past them with a gust of wind, but they were completely unaware. Ward 5002 is on the 5th floor, just above Yi Fan's ward, and is a critically ill ward. At this moment, an emergency is being carried out in the ward, and the on-duty doctor is calmly using a defibrillator for emergency treatment while anxiously looking at the electrocardiogram instrument. Non-synchronous electric conversion, 300 joules. The 2 nurses assisting nearby immediately began to operate, and the doctor performed another defibrillation on the patient with a defibrillator. However, the electrocardiogram instrument still sounded a rapid alarm and finally let out a long beep. But the doctor did not give up, and he said again in a heavy voice, non-synchronous electroconversion, 360 joules. Yi Fan watched this scene floating in mid-air, without the novelty and excitement of the beginning, feeling a bit uncomfortable. She looked at something resembling a funnel on the patient's head, which was the countdown to the time of death. No matter how hard the doctor tried, the King of Hell said you would die at the 3rd watch, and who could leave someone until the 5th watch. As the last bit of hourglass falls above the funnel, the electrocardiogram becomes a straight line. The doctor dejectedly took off his mask, raised his wrist, looked at his watch, and said with a tense corner of his mouth, announced the time of death, at 11:13 p.m. on April 24, 2018. Time is calculated in the solar calendar and converted to the lunar calendar, which is exactly the same as the task system's record. A deceased person with an old face drifted up from the hospital bed, staring blankly at the busy doctors and nurses below. At this moment, the newly appointed envoy, Yi Fan, appeared. Zhao Dujuan, I am your reincarnation guide, number YF088. I will open the door to your reincarnation for you, please be prepared. Yi Fan drifted up to Zhao Dujuan, and without any pre-service training, she had to copy the opening line of the SB who had previously introduced her. However, she couldn't do what SB did before. She could still smile in the face of death and gave Zhao Dujuan time to react. After a brief period of confusion, Zhao Dujuan regained his clarity and quickly accepted the fact that he had died. He did not face the fear of the envoy and looked at Yi Fan's calm gaze. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, he only sighed, I am ready, Your Excellency, the envoy. Yi Fan nodded and took out his identity token. In the corner of his eye, he saw Zhao Dujuan looking at his own body, as if with a hint of regret and pain. By a stroke of fate, Yi Fan held the token in her palm and said, Do you still have any wishes left? After finishing, she wanted to slap herself in the mouth. What kind of mouth did he ask you to say? The senior warned. Take the reincarnation and send it to the gate of reincarnation. Once you have achieved your merits, save your life. Don't be soft-hearted, don't worry too much, don't be presumptuous. One mistake, welcome to the 18 levels of hell. Perhaps his obsession was too deep. Upon hearing these words, Zhao Dejuan, who was originally very calm, felt a shock in his spirit. Upon seeing them, Yi Fan felt even more remorseful and his intestines turned blue. But don't let anything really happen. Because he was too excited, Zhao Dejuan showed his terrifying appearance when he died. Mom, ghosts. Yi Fan took a step back with some fear, stubbornly suppressing the urge to turn his head and run, constantly reminding himself. I am an envoy, a powerful and domineering guide envoy, Amitabha Buddha in the south, God Jesus, the Supreme Old Lord's divine protection, go. After reciting a chaotic spell, my trembling hand quietly touched the spiritual chain, ready to throw it out if the situation didn't go wrong. Fortunately, Zhao Dejuan didn't act too aggressively, just looked at her with a terrifying ghost face and said, Ambassador, I want to see my son. I want to know if my son is still in this world and if his life is good. I have been looking for him for 22 years, March 5th. As he spoke, Zhao Dejuan remembered his long-lost son, who had been searching for him from all over the world. He covered his face and began to cry. The deceased have no tears, but that sorrow is even more touching in this silent and bitter cry. The tearless sobs shook Yi Fan's heart, and her eyes gradually became sour. The ghost in front of her no longer made her nauseous and fearful. Only the mountain-like father's love pressed heavily on her, and she couldn't refuse the last wish of such an old father. You have 7 days to stay in the human realm, during which I can find a way to help you find your son, but... Yi Fan said, lifting the token and lightly lifting his thin lips to recite a spell. Suddenly, a vortex appeared on the surface of the token, and he continued, this is the soul domain used to imprison the living. You must stay in the soul domain for these 7 days. If you agree, come in. Thank you, Ambassador. Zhao Dejuan bowed solemnly to Yi Fan, and his soul gradually dissipated, turning into a light smoke and entering the token soul realm. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Playing with Colleagues. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Playing with colleagues. After receiving Zhao Dejuan, Yi Fan took out his phone and saw that there were 2 more tasks that were relatively easy to complete. Although Zhao Dejuan did not earn any merit in this order, he was close and did not waste much time. The long night was long, so she should be able to complete these 2 orders. No matter what, she cannot return empty-handed. The second task object is not far from the hospital. In a pseudo-spiritual state, she floats directly in the air for only 5 or 6 minutes. She is an alcoholic who fell into the river and drowned due to drunkenness. When she was sent to the gate of rebirth, she was still confused. Yi Fan easily earned 6 merit points. Although it was only a moderate evaluation, it was also her first profit, which made her happy for a while. The third order was a bit troublesome. He was a fierce and aggressive thug who was accidentally stabbed to death during a fight. As soon as Yi Fan appeared, the other person rushed towards her with a fierce face. Fortunately, he also took over 2 deceased people, but he was much more calm than when he saw Zhao Dejuan's ghostly appearance. He directly threw the spiritual chain, tied it tightly, opened the door to the afterlife, and was sent into the afterlife realm. Although it was crisp and neat, it received a negative review, only giving 2 merit points. After working hard for most of the night, earning 8 merit points, and taking a trouble by her side, Yi Fan couldn't help but shed tears of regret at the thought of this. It made you feel weak for a moment. Not only did you not complete this order, but you also wanted to be afraid that Zhao Dejuan would float outside. If something happened, it would affect her merit and she had to open her soul domain to take him in. You should know that the soul domain is bound to her soul. She is still just a newly appointed envoy, and has not even cultivated her vitality. Her soul power is very weak, not much stronger than the newly born and reborn. If Xiao Dejuan couldn't help but go crazy inside, hey, that would be really fun. No, we need to help Xiao Dejuan find his son as soon as possible. The right way is to send this hot potato away. Returning to the ward, Ye's mother was still asleep. Yi Fan breathed a sigh of relief and sat on the hospital bed, taking out Ghost 18. He didn't plan to take on any more tasks tonight and opened his secret message, intending to ask his senior how Xiao Dejuan should solve this matter. As a new and enthusiastic envoy, Yi Fan's secret message was in a mess, with only one contact person in his contact list, Zhou Li, and a group of receiving envoys that Zhou Li had brought her into. There have been no new members in the envoy group for several years, and when Yi Fan joined the group, no one noticed that there was an extra person. The reception envoy works day and night, so on this late night, the group is still very lively. While everyone was chatting and farting, a completely unfamiliar person suddenly jumped out to greet them. YF088. Hello seniors, smiling, QMY056. I wiped it, scared me to pee. Where did that lonely and wild ghost come from? It's so scary, isn't it WMY055? It must be that the way I got out of my body tonight was wrong, and I had hallucinations. GF087. Are new people here? Rubbing hands, brothers, come out quickly, new people are here. Looking up at the sky with a long smile, I am finally no longer at the bottom of the food chain. At YF088, young man, hurry up, call me brother. Today is really a wonderful day, haha ZSS044. Ah, my mother's new customer. Hey, where can we escape WMY055? Color, did the customer slip away again? Is this a handsome guy or a beautiful woman? Come on, create a group video for us to sneak around YY010. Cough, the color is rough and rough, don't teach bad newcomers here. YY010. Hello newcomer, Shahua, welcome to join our family of maintaining world peace and implementing the Alliance for Love and Justice. I am 010, and you can call me Brother 10. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Maintaining world peace and implementing the Alliance of Love and Justice. Yi Fan twitched his lips. Why didn't Zhou Li tell her that her colleagues were all a group of teasing people? Today's update will be sent, and future updates are tentatively scheduled for morning and evening. If there are any changes, we will notify you again. P.S. The article has saved manuscripts, ensuring quality and quantity. Dear book friends can collect it with peace of mind and rest assured to follow up on the article. Your support is my strength. Seeking clicks, recommendations, book reviews, collections, defeats, all kinds of requests. End of this chapter.